Me no know about you, but me love think it's bad. Me no know what them a talk about. When them say think it's mad. When everywhere in the world have problem, everywhere need God. Tell them easy no man. Come you love think it's bad. Me no know about you, but me love think it's bad. Me no know what them a talk about. When them say think it's mad. When everywhere in the world have problem, everywhere need God. Tell them easy no man. Come you love think it's bad. Sometimes I feel like just crying. Ever since you gone, I don't wanna live no more. No more, no more. Sometimes I feel like just crying. Ever since you gone, I don't wanna live no more. No more, no more. Sometimes I feel like just crying. Ever since you gone, I don't wanna live no more. Sometimes I feel like just crying. Living feels better than dying. Baby girl, I was trying to be a man, but now that you're gone and you left me, I'm feeling so lonely. I need you beside me. I just wanna be your man. Your man, your man. Sometimes I feel like just crying. Ever since you're gone, I don't wanna live no more.
When freight goes up, people have to work monies that they are investing, and therefore the consumers are the ones who have to feel the brunt of the whole thing. I don't think you understand how important you are. You are at the bottom of the chain, but you're the most important part of business, because without you, big business people cannot boast what they have. And we have to recognize that consumers are very important to us, because without them, they're no business. But the unfortunate thing, like I said before, they're the ones who feel the brunt of everything else, because we recognize, because freight has gone up. And when I say gone up, it has really, in some areas it has doubled, which I find is seriously ridiculous. Gasoline is very high at this time. I suppose you can't find people to work the containers. So we are looking at food shortages. Food is coming in, and sometimes you have, that backlog because things are not happening like it normally did. Why? Because of COVID-19. COVID has wreaked havoc not only on our healthcare system, but on our financial system. We have now recognized that because of COVID, it's a drastic change that the world has taken. People are doing things differently now. Vaccination is something that you have to do in order to basically survive. We have been observing certain protocols for COVID-19. I must say kudos to the NEOC. Our numbers are way down in comparison to where it was about 2 months ago. Our numbers are really, really down, not just the new cases, but the active cases. We're doing very well, and I must say congratulations to the citizens of St. Kitts and Nevis who have been adhering to protocols. It's because of you why we can boast the position that we are in, because if without you, the spread would continue. I feel for the other countries, our Caribbean brothers and sisters. I feel for you guys because of the fact that sometimes we need leadership that can control situations, not people who are just going to look at the situation without a plan and create solutions that really do not work. So we have to be grateful and thankful for the fact that we have a government and who have basically put in place a group of people who have a good understanding of what it takes to control a virus of this magnitude. And I must say, I am so proud to be a Kittish and Nevisian. I am from St. Kitts and Nevis, so I sometimes I don't know what my nationality is, but I just have to say, because if I say Nevisian, they say, oh, you're a Nevisian living in St. Kitts. So I'm a Kitty Nivi or Nivi Kitty, whichever one you want to call it, but I am proud to be a citizen of St. Kitts and Nevis. When we look at how we would have controlled situation in comparison, and we're not boasting and we're not throwing it in other people's face, but at the end of the day, we have to congratulate ourselves because we would have done well on a job well done. From the beginning, we had a good understanding of what it needed, what it took to control the virus. It was done. We had an outbreak. We have had 27 deaths to date, which was expected, but I still think it has been kept to a minimum, and that has happened because we have people who have a good understanding of what is to be done. The CMO and the Chief Medical Officer and their group of NEOC members, we want to thank you for the hard work that you would have done, because a lot of times these things go unnoticed, but we want to let you know that we have recognized and we are grateful for the times that you would have taken away from your family to make sure that your extended families are safe. That is us, citizens of St. Kitts and Nevis, and we have to be grateful for that. Like we were talking about, I've listened to people and I'm hearing everybody complaining about the hardships that we are going through right now. Like I said, we have to be grateful because I think we have been given stimulus packages. We have been, St. Kitts and Nevis, although we have had some serious blow to the economy, the powers that be would have basically absorbed lots of the hardships. So we are not as badly off as some of the other Caribbean islands, and we must be grateful. I think that is one of the things that we have a problem with St. Kitts and Nevis people, is that we are not grateful. We are always looking at what others have, and we are not grateful for what we have. And sometimes we have to start looking at that situation. It's hard. We think that the government can do more than it's supposed to do because they're feeling it too. We must say congratulations and kudos to the Ministry of Tourism. We have cruise ships in the harbor. And let me say this, everybody is not going to get at the same time because it is new. It's a new system that is in place, and you have to work the system. It's unfortunate, though, that some people are getting much more than they should get, while others are just getting basically the crumbs from the table. I think that is what needs to be sorted out, is that we want to create a level playing field where everyone can benefit. And like I said, everybody doesn't have the same investment, so everybody's not going to benefit the same, but at the end of the day, everybody should benefit from what it is, because all of us were basically struck by the hardships of what COVID-19 would have brought to our shores. And so therefore, everybody's looking forward for that relief. It is really, really, really tough. And I could understand people's frustration. But again, you have to understand that it was not just us as citizens that were hit. The government had to take a serious, it was, I don't know what you should call it. It's called prudency. I listened to the Premier of Nevis, and he talked about people now having to be careful how you spend your money because there are hard times ahead of us. And so you have to control your spending. You can't buy lobster with Jack's money, and you can't eat shrimps when you're making back and neck salaries. And I suppose that's in a nutshell is what he's saying. So you have to, like the old people used to say, you have to cut your cloth, your style, based on the cloth that you have. And so these things are coming back, and we're now having a better understanding of what it is. But it's called the problem with circulation. It affects not only us as a human body, but it affects an economy. When money is not circulating in the economy, when the country is not getting what it's supposed to do, and the consumers are basically, they're the ones at the end of it, and they're feeling the brunt of it. You talk about everybody starting to feel sick, headache, stress goes up, and people are trying hard to understand us, the smaller man. When you look at the salaries that you make to the cost of living right now in St. Kitts and Nevis, I wonder how people, because I am struggling, I can tell you that much, I am struggling. I wonder how the ordinary man who works on minimum wage, how do you survive? Because at the end of the day, the prices are not for the rich man, and then you have the poor man prices. All of us have to pay the same price. And I'm telling you about a toppled over playing field because it's definitely no way close leveled. It is really, really trying times. You talk about parents, mothers, young mothers who are not working right now, fathers who are not working, and you have 4 hungry mouths to feed. You have children to send to school. You still have to buy the books. You have to make sure that they have food. You cannot buy food. Right now, you can't afford to buy decent food, nutritious food. So you are forced to buy. It was already poisoned. You have to even go deeper into the poison because you have to buy the macaroni and cheese, the ramen that's filled with MSG. You have to buy because children are hungry, and we're not talking about nutrition here. We're talking about filling bellies because we are back to that stage where we're just trying to get a belly full. Some bread and avocado, thank God it's in season, or bread. And we used to eat bread and sugar cake when we were growing up because the times were hard then. Anything that could put in bread, we used to put in bread. And so we are back to basically there, and where you're accustomed to have $1 bread, you could eat the 2 nipples, and now you have to share to 4 and 5 people. And it's difficult. We have to sometimes put ourselves in other people's shoes, and we'd understand that they can't afford to buy food. They're still paying rent. You have children in school. You have electricity bills to pay. You have water bill to pay. Cable is a luxury, so internet is a luxury, so you don't have that. But in today's age, your children have to work online because school having issues. We now realize that the internet is no longer a luxury; it's a necessity. And you ask yourself the question: how are these people able to make? These are not making ends meet because the ends are so far away from each other. It is very difficult to make ends meet. And then you have the problem with Skelec wanting their monies, because I heard the Prime Minister say that if people would start paying their bills on time, paying their taxes, then the country would be in a better position because the government is feeling it the same way. But then Skelec is disconnecting, cable and wireless is disconnecting, cable is disconnecting, water is disconnecting. So at the end of the day, what is going to happen to us people? We are just looking at it from just a little bird's eye view. But when you look at the situation, when we basically enhance the picture, we'll realize how difficult times are. Inflation, you're operating on the same salary, prices are going up. I can tell you, we are accustomed to pay $8,000 and $7,000 for a container coming in out of the Caribbean. Now you have to pay $10,000 and $13,000. It is difficult, and times are tough. And we have to realize that business people are not in business because they want to supply you with food. They're in business because they want to make a profit. And at the end of the day, it is hard, and they can only mark up this much. Government has a lot of work to do because then you have to try to make sure, because there's some people who are taking advantage of the situation, and I think it's just so wrong. Because it's already tough. And, you know, we're supposed to be grateful as business owners that people can patronize our businesses. But at the end of the day, man, I think it's so ridiculous. You go in and you buy something 2 weeks ago for $3.25. When you go back in the supermarket, it's $8. It's not going up by 50 cents anymore. It's $5. It's super ridiculous. But again, like you said, electricity will go up because gas prices has gone up. Food prices are going to go up because gas prices has gone up. When you go, I hear the bus drivers, they're crying out because at the end of the day, and I don't know what kind of gas they're using in these vehicles, because let me tell you something, actually. At the end of the day, you jump in your vehicle, you go to the gas station, you fill it up. By the time you reach home, it's half. I don't know how this gas is burning off so quickly, but again, I suppose that is the situation. So now, I'm going to tell you something. You see how you feel that hardship of when you have circulation not happening in our system, in our financial system? It's a similar situation that you have when your circulatory system is not working. Your circulatory system is basically your cardiovascular system. When that is shutting off, you have blood clots, you have palpitations, you have chest pains, you have clogged arteries, and those are serious problems. And after, if these things are not paid attention to, what is going to happen? We are going to die. That is why a lot of people are now dying from heart attacks. A lot of people are dying from strokes, because strokes, every time I'm here, I think we're playing a cricket match. You ain't hear what happened to such and such. Well, he had a stroke. I mean, everybody's just stroking. It is tough, but it's what it is, because we are forced to eat that bad food. We talked about it earlier. And because we are forced to eat that bad food, because we can't afford to eat the good food, then we create problems with our circulatory system. This morning, again, by popular demand, and this time we're going to open our lines because people have been asking for that. I have Agilan, and let me tell you, if I can bring him back every day, every week, I will, because we have to now realize how serious the situation is. We have to now realize that we can't wait until we reach the point of no return and think that Agilan can work miracles. We have to start to maintain our system. If we don't maintain our system, we're going to find ourselves in a situation where not even herbs would be able to help you. And I must make this disclaimer, we are not doctors. We don't profess to be doctors, but we must ask ourselves a question: who are doctors? Doctors are ordinary people like you and I, who would have gone off to university and would have read some books on other people's theory and would have put that into practice. They come back and they start practicing on us. That is who they are. We have had people before doctors were created, and I always tell people, if doctors were absolutely necessary, then in the Garden of Eden, God would have placed one there. But he didn't. He created Adam and Eve, and he told them, of every fruit in the garden you should eat. I'm giving the Christian story, because I know people will tell me, oh, but I'm telling you, this is a Christian story. That's what we were taught when we were growing up, so we have an understanding. Even though you feel like it's not true, listen to it and see if it makes sense. He said, all the fruits in the garden you should eat. And food is for medicine. Even the drugs that they're using, it's synthetic. Our bodies cannot heal by using drugs. And doctors not going to tell you they're going to heal you. What they said to you, they're going to provide some comfort. But this morning, what we're going to talk about, our bodies and how we can care for our bodies. Understand? It's not about just waiting. We talk about preventative measures, Ashelan. We talk about maintaining. We talk about curative measures that you have to take, healing protocols that we can put in place. We have going to have an understanding of the herbs that are used. And first, you're going to give a brief explanation of what is the circulatory system, because that is one of the things a lot of us don't know. We have a body that we don't understand. And because we don't understand our body, we don't even know how to take care of it. So this is one of the reasons why I have move away from that political discussion, because all of that political debate creates stress, and stress affects the circulatory system because it makes your blood very thick. If you don't know that, that is what stress does. And when you hear people say stress is a killer, it is not just a silent killer. It is a real killer. And we have the stress of not being able to afford to support our family. We have the stress that foods are not coming as it should. And so therefore, we have that stress that we have no control over. Added stress can create issues. And I'm not going to talk about the political situation that we have here in St. Kitts and Nevis, because we have so much more things to do before we could even rectify that. And one of the things is to make sure that we are fit and ready, and we are able to in the next election, we are here so that we can vote. So let's talk about the circulatory system. Adjutant, good morning and welcome to Your Views.
Yes, good morning, Sandra, and I want to say good morning to the whole general public, those home and everybody, you know what I'm saying?
No.
Yeah, the circulatory system. What is the circulatory system? The circulatory system basically is the movement of blood throughout the body, you know. As we know, we have blood inside our body, you know, and we have certain organs that is responsible for that operation, you know what I mean? We have organs like the veins, the arteries, organs like the heart, and still organs like the lungs too, you know, because they play an important role in the circulatory system, you know, and so that's as a whole about the circulatory system and some organs. Now, let me break it down in a sense so we could get a little understanding. The blood now is being pumped by the heart, you know, to circulate, to feed the organs, our skin, hair, nails, hands, feet, everywhere.
It has the nutrients.
You know, have the nutrients.
Yeah.
You know, when you talk about nutrients like the red blood cells, the white blood cells, the platelets, them, you know, and the blood, I must say, make up, or two-thirds of the blood is make up of water, you know, which is very important. Yeah, so the blood now goes down to feed the organs, you know, via the arteries, and carry also responsible for carrying oxygen to the cells. You know, the red that we see when we see get cut on them thing, that's like the color is like more iron. You know what I mean? That's the hemoglobin. You know, that is responsible for the red. You know,
Color of the blood.
yeah. The platelets them is responsible for the clotting within the blood, you know what I mean? And, you know, the red blood cell that will carry the oxygen and also bring back waste. You know, the white blood cells, them, the neutrophils, the basophils, they got different type of white blood cells, you know what I mean? They play a very important role in also within the whole formation of the movements of blood also, you know what I mean? Very important. They deal with infection and all those type of stuff and so, you know. So what happened within the circulatory system, you know, the blood comes out from your heart and goes down and feed the cell, the oxygen, you know, so for example, your toe, you know, it goes straight down to your toes, use up all that, nutrients, you know, chemicals and everything within the blood, and then the waste comes out and return back to the heart, you know, via the veins, them, you know what I mean? Yeah.
One of the things that one has to notice, though, is that when we eat food, the nutrients that we take, the electrolytes that we take in, which is absolutely necessary, potassium, calcium, magnesium, those are stuff that is absolutely necessary for the heart, and it's absorbed through the circulatory system.
Right.
It also takes not just the electrolytes, it takes the amino acids, the proteins and you know, amino acids are building blocks. It helps your body. That's basically what helps your body to be what it is. Different fibers, your all of the other nutrients that are in there. I'm not going to give you a science, a whole biological.
There's a lot to talk about there.
It's a lot to talk about. It's for us just to have an understanding of what it is. So we now know that in order for our bodies to function, we need the electrolytes, and those are carried through the body, through the circulatory system, to the heart, the veins, and the arteries. They're the ones that take them to where. It's also the lymphatic system is a part of the circulatory system.
Yeah, because that is what brings back the waste. You know what I mean? And the white blood cell is what really responsible for the, you know, the lymphatic system, basically, you know what I mean, because that controls the infection.
Yeah, it helps. It helps to fight. Whenever when we're exposed to viruses like COVID and other flu-like symptoms, as we talk about building your immune system, because at the end of the day, these are the fighters. These are the ones that fight, get rid of anything that is foreign within our bodies. It is the white blood cells that are responsible for making sure that anything that comes in that is foreign, we have to get rid of it.
Definitely.
And so that is what helps our body to fight. And we know in order for them to fight, well, our body has to have the various nutrients in order for our bodies to be strong enough to fight. And I suppose that is one of the reasons why we talk about different things that can help to boost the immune system, that would help the circulatory system. Because you don't want the blood, the thicker the blood is, the more difficult it is. Because if you understand the size of the veins and the size of the arteries, it has to flow. And if the blood is not thin enough, it's going to wreak havoc in there, because you see people walking around with varicose veins and all kind of other problems that you have. Swollen ankles, edema is one of the issues that you have. When you have thick blood, you have strokes comes from that fact. When your blood is too thick, it wreaks havoc because it creates clotting, and it can pose some problems. People who suffers from pulmonary embolism is because of the fact that the blood clots and
and like when the blood returning from the cells, you know, I mean the arteries the arteries are much bigger
than the veins,
than the veins,
and
are
the
much
capillaries are smaller.
Structure, and you know, the pulsate, the blood is carried through, you know. The veins are much smaller, thinner, so the veins are like between the muscle structure. So when we walk and make our movements with the muscle contract and it push the blood up. You know what I mean? And then the blood in the veins, then we have some valves. Basically, there's like one-way valves, so it only goes up. You know, and the tip is
open, it closes,
and then close down, so it don't go back down. Actually, you know what I mean. So when them have problem, when there's problem within those valves, then you got like the back check, the blood goes back down,
and that's why you have edema. Your foot is swollen, and you wonder why you talk about earlier about the muscles contracting that would push the blood up. If we are sitting down where we have this sedimentary lifestyle where we do not move, then we have issues. Or if you're working and your job entails just sitting down all day, it poses some problems. That's at the end of the day, that's where your feet are swollen.
You get poor circulation and that type of
poor
situation,
circulation
you know what I
comes
mean?
through that.
Because your body is not really moving and being active, you know, because it's the muscles them is what really bring back the blood to the heart. And when the blood come back to the heart now, I mean, the heart is a 4-chamber organ, you know what I mean?
The left auricle and the right auricle, left
No,
ventricle.
you got 2 ventricles.
Yeah, left and right.
2 atrium. You know what I mean?
Auricles,
So the when the blood come back from the veins and everything, it come through the vena cava and enter through the right side of the heart, to the right atrium. And when that get filled now, you got some valves there, also
The pulmonary
pump it
valve.
down. Not those some tricostal valves, I think. Left from there goes down into the left ventricle, and now when the left ventricle contract, you pump it out through the pulmonary vein, and that goes to the lungs now. You know what I mean? Where the blood is now, because when it's coming back from the cell, you know, the blood now is more rich in carbon dioxide, less oxygenated. So the blood now comes in to pump towards our lungs, so it could be reoxygenated, and then it come back from our lungs via the pulmonary artery and enter to the left side. You understand? So from the right side of the ventricle, go up to the pulmonary vein towards the lungs, get oxygenated, you know, so it's come back rich now, rich blood, all the nutrients them, come back through the pulmonary artery, enter onto the left side of the heart, the upper chamber, which is the left atrium, and then when that get filled, contract again, send down the blood.
So if you call that's why you call it the circulatory system, because it continues to circulate. It just, and we want to make sure that that system is free from debris, thick blood, and everything else, and we'll have that smooth, constant flow of blood. If you don't have that, you have problems where you talk about the oxygenated blood, you have problems where you become deprived of oxygen. That can kill your brain cells, because if your brain doesn't get enough oxygen, then you know what can happen. And so we understand now why it is absolutely necessary to make sure that the blood, that is the circulatory system, is working and basically at top.
Top notch, you know what I mean? Basically, you know, because that is what really feeding all the cells, you know, the heart pumping the blood to the cardiovascular system, the veins, the arteries, them, and you know what I mean, it's very important, basically.
And we know in the event of a heart attack, normally people dies.
Right.
Because when you don't have that blood circulating, you have deprivation, you have no oxygen. And without oxygen, you know, you can't live.
Definitely.
After 3 minutes, I'm not sure, because I'm not really, like I said, we are not doctors here. Definitely after 3 minutes, you know, definitely you're going to be brain dead if your brain is not getting the oxygen that it needs.
Well, the right here to the back of the neck, you know, side of the neck, we got a artery there, basically, that carry...
We call it the jugular vein, that we normally people tend to call it. You cut that and that's the end of the system.
You know what I mean? That carry the blood to the oxygen, so that's why you say if you knock it, it a hard punch, you gone out.
Yeah.
Stops the blood flow, you know?
And so we want to understand, because the teaching, I mean, internet is prevalent. Anybody can go and start to look. If you want to understand how the circulatory system works, you can do that. But what we're here to tell you is that in order for us to have that body functioning at peak or firing on all 8 cylinders, we have to make sure that we give the body the nutrients that it needs so that it can do what it's supposed to do. If you have a vehicle we understand that if you don't put water in the vehicle, it overheats. It's a similar situation with our bodies. You don't drink enough water because you said 75% of the blood is basically is water. If you don't give it water, what is going to happen? Your body is going to overheat. You become dehydrated. And understanding dehydration, a lot of times people don't understand that the majority of the times we have issues is because our bodies are dehydrated. We don't have enough water to cool the system and to thin the blood.
And kidney is well responsible for giving the moisture to all the organs.
Yeah, and
because that is what responsible for the balance of the electrolytes, the temperature, like the thermostat in our body. You know,
yeah,
so.
and if that is not cooling enough, we don't have enough fluid inside there, then you understand what happens. It's the simple things, Agilan, that poses the biggest problems, huh? And I don't think we are very much aware of that.
Definitely, but it's like multi-pronged approach still, you know, because, I mean, if the veins them get clogged up and everything, you still have to look at the heart issues, you know, because palpitation can become an issue, enlargement of heart could become mega heart, you know what I mean?
And then we have high blood pressure, which is very prevalent.
Definitely.
This is one of the biggest problems, one of the non-communicable diseases that we have. And if we look at the statistics, we would recognize that the percentage of people, young people now, who suffers from hypertension, we ask ourselves the questions, why? It comes down to wanting the foods that we eat, or lifestyle.
Yeah.
So the things that we do, the lack of exercise that we don't take. I mean, walking up the stairs at mornings, I have to breathe, I have to huff and puff and can't blow no house down. But because of the fact that we become, after a certain time in our lives, we sit down and we don't move around enough.
True, and as you were saying in relation to food with the blood, like we were explaining with the blood, inside the blood is the nutrients, the protein, the electrolyte, the glucose, you understand? So these is the nutrients what our body really need. So when we are consuming food, we have to know what we are consuming and what we are receiving, you know? So that is why when we say, well, eat food we are mineral rich and alive, you know what I mean? Alive food. You know,
so you talk about raw foods.
Raw foods.
Not processed foods.
Not processed food. You know what I mean? Fruits, vegetables, living. You understand? These now will rejuvenate our body over time.
Yeah. Let me let you know, those of you who want to call in and ask Archulon, because I think that is what people are saying, is that he's here and nobody can call in and ask any questions. Let me let you know, you can call in and ask any question that you want. We have another 15 minutes to do so. Time is really running out. The numbers you can call, like we started late, is 662-0989, 466-0989, or 762-0989. Those are the numbers you can call if you want to ask the question. But I would again remind you that lots of people are always asking for the same thing. Are you certified? Are you a doctor?
I'm not.
And those are the questions that you ask. But we have had people who would have come here, or a person so far, or people I would have contacted, and they can give you their testimony. They can tell you where they were and to where they are now, and that is just from taking herbs. So we know we are Africans, and that is one of the things that we have to understand. We're West Indian, we're Caribbean people. We are accustomed to our bush tea and all of the herbs that we're accustomed to. Normally when you're sick, doctors was the least of our problems. Now we have too many doctors, and because of the more doctors we have seem to have here, is the more sick people I find that we have now. Before we had little doctors, because I was living in Nevis, we had one doctor that came around maybe every 3 to 6 months. I never saw him.
And the doctors, them really, you know, is basically what we have on the shelf, them. That's it. That's the reality, you know.
Yeah.
That's the hard reality, is what we are consuming. I mean, if your food is a medicine, then there wouldn't be no need. You understand? And you know what we have to understand. What is food? You understand? You know, I mean, we've been programmed to think what we are receiving that is food, but it's not. You know what I'm saying?
Food satisfies a lot of people's desire, not hunger. It doesn't provide the nutrients. Nobody think about the nutrients. They think about, oh, that tastes good.
Well, I mean, when certain people understand the influence of what it does to you, because as you say, our blood deal with hormones. Hormones. What are hormones? Chemical, nutrients, and salts. The same protein, the magnesium, the amino acid, the acids. All these here is messages that your body gets to react a certain type of way. You understand? So these things happen from what we eat. If you get kids sugar, you get energy. Just like people go running and they come back in from the long race, they get them glucose to build back up the energy. You go for give blood. They tell you drink a malt after. You understand? Because they know what they're giving you, what they're gonna do to your body.
Because that's what the blood is.
You understand?
For, it's for energizing.
Definitely.
Right. And we don't eat the food that creates that kind of energy. We eat foods that are cooked. We eat dead food. And I don't understand, it's you don't have to be a rocket scientist to understand that. If you eat dead food, it means that dead food cannot provide live nutrients. It doesn't provide the kind of amino acids because heat breaks down vitamins. And so when you add heat to food, it kills half of the nutrients already there.
Okay, good.
And so then when we eat them, and a lot of people, I see people do this. They put food in the fridge, and the next day again, they warm it up again, and they eat that again. And sometimes they have it in your fridge for 3-4 days.
Okay.
Well, it can't get no deader than that. Because
well, in the house, we house structured. We got the living room and the dining room and the kitchen. So enough people spend a lot of time in the dining room.
Yeah, I know.
You understand? They keep on. You understand? So they move the dining room into the room where you're supposed to be living.
Yeah.
Consuming inside there. You understand? All it,
Yeah, and it's sad, but it's just the reality of the situation. People are talking about the fact that you can't afford. You can afford. We have fruits in season.
Yeah.
It's free. We can just go and walk with a bucket and pick. We used to do that as children. As children, afternoon time, you come from school, you go down because we used to have to come to, we call it the Pashaway. Up there is food dance. Every time, every season, there are different type of food. You have the gut plum, you have mangoes, you have sugar apple, you have soursop, and they are in seasons, and I suppose for a reason.
Definitely.
And so therefore, by the time you get home at afternoons, you're so full, you don't have to worry about your parents having foods there. But what is happening now is that we are replacing all of that, food, the areas that provided the food for concrete. And so foods are not growing. So children are walking the pathway and they're driving and jumping on buses. We're not walking to school anymore. And so therefore they cannot consume the foods that are there, the live foods that are there. And that is why people are getting sick from such a young age, because we change our lifestyle.
Yep.
We jump on a bus, and that after you jump on the bus, you can't pick food on the pathway because you're on the bus.
True. And many people know, enough for the youngers, they I don't be out in nature a lot, and when they see the amount of food being wasted, I remember when we were young, these things would not be around. Even in town, I pass in cherry tree, full of cherry.
Yeah.
And it just defaults them, just picking them, and
It is a sad reality.
You understand?
And then we talk about how we don't have enough money to buy food when we have so much wastage of food.
Yeah, in England, people, they get a lot of apples and berries and all them things. You know what they do? They turn into apple pies and all type of creative stuff.
Here,
what they sell in the stores, in the supermarket, apple mango, guava this and whatever. We need to be more industrious. That is why we are facing what we're facing today. And, we as a government, as a people. But if we, if we think somebody's supposed to, if we be dependent, then we're going to create a problem, you know what I mean? The old provide for everybody. Everybody have their own drive. They just have to look in themselves and decide, I know I could. And if you have that vibration, you could overcome anything.
Well, one of the things that we have, I'm going to encourage and ask the government to do, along the pathways that children are now walking, start planting fruit trees. I see you have the Jammonberry there and the Kim Collins Highway. These are the ideas. When I was going to Keon the other day, and I realized on the side of the road you have guava trees, you have sugar apple trees. So children on their way to and from school in the country area, they still have that privilege. But when you're in the town area, you don't have that privilege. You walk from Washington Archibald School down to the bus station terminal. There's absolutely nothing you can pick.
True.
Absolutely nothing.
True.
Because it's just concrete. So we have taken that away from the children. We used to look for it. We used to hide our plastic bags. And when you come out of school, then you look for your plastic bag, you fill it up with fruits, you eat fruits all on the way to home. You don't have that privilege now as a child because number one, the fruit trees are no longer there. Two, the pathway has been replaced with concrete. We ask for a lot of things, not understanding the disadvantage that it's posing. And so our children come home and what they eat when they get home, bread and something. We now understand dangers of white flour. We understand that most of our children are gluten intolerant. Lots of them, a lot of problems that you have, children are suffering from sinusitis. They have all kinds of sinus issues because the foods that they're eating is posing problems.
Too much chemicals in those foods.
And they're eating from that from an early age. Babies are now fed instead of breast milk because mothers have to go back to work earlier. They're given all of this packaged food. It's making them sick from their babies. It breaks down their immune system.
We gotta get conscious and recognize. I mean, they're trying to kill us, really, in a sense.
But we are allowing it to happen, though. We have to stop using that excuse that we understand now. Enough information is out there. Sometimes at night before I go to sleep, I'm a reader. I like to read. And by you reading, you'll be able to understand because everybody write all kinds of things. You're supposed to have the ability to decipher which is good and what is sense and which is nonsense. But even when you read the stuff out there and you see, they said they can't afford to feed because the world is overpopulated. That is ridiculous. We have so many uncultivated lands. Like I said, we are doing the things. We are the ones who are doing it to ourselves.
Just like what I told you in previous talk, I mean, the stuff that we have, which is so valuable, we neglect and we take on something else. Then somebody else going to come and utilize it and then they make millions out of it, and then we're going to complain about what's going on. You understand? I mean, look, you got Spanish here. You got other people here, and they're making a life. Really and truly. I got hard too, but I wouldn't complain. You know what I mean? Everybody have it a type of way. But what I'm saying, if you ain't have it hard, how you going to know how to go forward? Because you got to got the challenge so you could overcome and see what's going on. As Marcus Garvey said, black people, only when they're back against the wall, they overstand. I mean, the Spanish, they back war against the wall from where they come from. They understand poverty. The other people who came here, who doing good, they understand what.
And so they came here to work.
You understand? So sometimes we got a luxury. So I guess we need to see that. And the world is now, it ain't coming to you, but the world bring it to you. As I say, I mean, through the crisis of COVID, all them ship get backed up. They can't process everything, you understand? Because a lot of people die, lose their life, who used to drive this and drive that. Lot ain't working in them type of different ways. So the movements of goods being hampered out there in the global, so it's going to affect us because we're getting everything from out there.
Yeah. And we have it here. Huh?
And you understand? So that's why they're trying to tell us here now, you got to plant it because soon no food going to be coming. That's why things are going to get more expensive because the price of moving goods from one place to the next come real expensive now.
Let me look at some of the stuff that comes here. Some of the stuff that comes in here. Now, in here, in the studio, if those of you can't smell, you can't see what we have. But you go buy a thing called Vicks. You buy all of those rubs. I have in my hand a piece of Gummalin, it's called. It's from a tree here, right here in St. Kitts. You smell. You don't have to put it to your nose. You just leave it open, and it clears your sinus easily. We buy Vicks that is processed, that has things in there that we should not even inhale. We are inhaling stuff that we should not do on a regular basis, and it's inside that compound called Vicks. This is supernatural. It can't get no more natural than this.
Definitely.
The guinea hen weed, one day I went to Honeyman, and we are losing that information because we don't interact with these people who have a good understanding.
You need to get Honeyman up in here.
Yeah, but I spoke to him already, and he's not gonna But let me tell you, he told me the guinea hen weed. One day he said he pulled it straight out the ground. He said, "Smell this." I could not believe it. When I smell it, my sinus cleared up instantly. Not only that your sinus cleared, but you're able to see better because you don't have that blockage there. And I was like, "What?" This is a tree that people tout that can heal any kind of cancer.
And it's good for skin condition.
Any kind of skin condition. It's good for everything. I had pain, lots of pain. When you make your tinctures for me and the tea, you drink that and you're good again. And we have these things that you don't have to buy. We don't have to wait for the ships to come in. because the histotoxin that you need for the cough, you can find it in this. Just inhale it, and you can breathe much better.
Yeah, this is one. This stuff here, I mean, it has so much different uses. You know, I mean, it's also good for people who go into mental situations too. You know, because it could calm the spirit and everything. You know what I mean? Just like frankincense and myrrh. You know, these are powerful stuff. Same way. You know. And back into the circulation business. I mean, just to give the people some ideas what you could use for circulation, like we were speaking earlier. We had a caller.
No, I'm not. We have a caller.
We
lost that caller.
We have herbs like garlic, ginger, cayenne pepper. You understand?
And we're talking about herbs that we have access to here.
Yeah. I mean, aloe vera. You understand? These are things that cleanse the blood, bring movements within the blood and everything.
Neem.
You know, neem. All these things very, very, very good. You know, we got a lot of stuff here, but it's just we to really turn back to the earth and recognize, well, you know, that this is going to be the way and the only way, you know what I mean?
And, you know, until we can recognize that, we are going to be faced with lots of problems because we're heavily dependent, and we complain how expensive stuff coming from overseas is. But, you know, I make a joke at mornings. I say, look at the poison coming in. It is a fact. We are waiting for them to bring the poison to poison us. We have the foods here. We have the bananas. We have the sweet potatoes. We have the cucumbers. We have the okras. We have everything that we need here to double pot. You know, those days start with doubling a pot. We have the chicken here. We need to start raising them again so they won't have the hormones that they choke under the wings.
True.
We have fish. Our fishers can go out and fish. We have the livestock, we have mutton, we have beef, we have everything here. So if the ships do not come in, it does not affect us.
True.
What we need to start to do is buy more local. We look at a situation now that the romaine lettuce is posing, it has always been posing problems. They talk about it has salmonella in there, it makes you sick. We have a farm here.
We got some superfoods here.
Yeah, we have, and I'm going to ask him to pay me for this advertisement. Samuel, what the name of the farm again? They produce some very, very good greens, lettuce and everything, and it's properly packed. Montreville, that's the name of the farm. They have good stuff, really, really good stuff. And all we need to do is start buying local. We have this guy Daniel in Atherton in Nevis. He does hydroponics, where he can
hydroponics.
Yeah, hydroponics, where you and the food is good. It lasts longer than what we buy from outside. We have to start looking within ourselves. We have a call. Let's take this caller. Caller, your life on your views.
Sandra, good morning, and good morning to your guest, Sandra.
Hey, good morning, darling. How are you
doing? Good morning.
I'm good. I hear you talking about when you're coming from school and so on. Sandra, remember, I don't know, you know that thing they used to call it dul-dul.
Yeah, devil dul-dul.
One of them go like a string bean and one of them flat. You know, when you're coming from school and so they used to go away and you used to pick them. And you open it, you got a white gluey thing.
Yes.
You know, you used to
we call it ice cream plant.
Yeah.
Ice cream plant.
And then you had the fat pork. People used to eat that, and then you eat the thing inside it, a white thing. All of them things we used to eat when you're growing up. And even the tamon, when you eat the tamon and you get the seed, you peel off the brown thing off the tamon seed. You used to eat all of them things going to school, you know.
Them is good things to eat.
Remember them,
Them is good thing. The season is very important.
Yeah,
you know
remember them days coming from school, you used to eat all of them things, and children don't eat them things no more. And we used to go macro and all them things going, well, I don't even think it's have them thing anymore.
I got them in my yard, you know, so I got a macro, the same stuff you call, the dul-dul, we call it Spanish ash. You know what I mean? But the name ice cream plant also, you know. And it's a good...
Oh, you got maca tree?
Yeah, I got maca. I got maca and them stuff there right in the yard growing and everything. You know
you live in the countryside?
In the mountain?
Yeah, up in the hills, you know.
But saying kids used to got all kind of thing going where we used to go rosy treat, mango, teen mango. I don't know see this thing anymore.
Yeah.
That's the thing we used to...
We got a lot of stuff still, but I mean, sometimes we think we're doing something good, but it could be bad. And one of the things we're facing right now, you know, I mean, so the people, man, they were cutting down the herbs, them. They clean out a lot of plants too, because some of the time, before the plant could really drop the seed, they're cutting back the plant, so now the cycle ain't complete.
Exactly.
And enough of these herbs here are very important.
Some Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead,
say
you
what
go
have
ahead now.
to-
You go ahead.
I mean, from school, sometimes when you walk into the pasture, you still go in your tongue school, and the don't tree them go wild. Sometimes you have your bag full of them. And when they go hard, and that's when they're sweet. When they're young, they're sweet. But when you see they go hard, man, something you have to snack on that. When kind of cheat on all of them things for the snack, you know,
Thank
because
you.
we bag full of salmon, guava. You pick somebody guava off of the tree, stone down mango and all them things, and remember them days,
Yep,
man.
those are afternoons coming from school. You get in trouble, you go with people, friends, and you pick. But again, they were on the side of the road that you could pick them.
Yeah.
The bread and cheese. Remember the bread and cheese
Yeah,
tree?
yeah.
That go,
And trees.
yeah, that was bread and cheese. It was
Yeah,
really bread and cheese.
the red thing inside of it, and you know.
Yeah.
Them is
And
good
it's-
stuff.
it's-
Yeah, and all them days, man, but picture when don't eat them things no more. They want chito and can coal and all them kind of
Fly go on.
So thank you. Keep listening.
Okay, thank you
Yeah,
for your
caller.
contribution.
Thank you.
You see, that is where we have fallen short. We talk about lifestyle changes, because what we're doing is that we're encouraging our children. My granddaughter, she cries every day. What she wants, lollipop. Lollipop was a thing. I don't even know how. You know where we used to get chewing gum from? I mean, it sounds really bad though. I'll tell you what we used to do. When big people eat chewing gum and spit it on the ground, we pick it up and we take out all the dirt. And my mother would kill you if she see you chewing gum, because she knew you didn't buy it, so you know it's somebody else's chewing gum. Because it was not as prevalent.
True,
but
true.
now you have all of those sweets in the trays. People never used to sell a tray like that. Sugar cake, because coconut was good.
True,
We didn't understand
true.
it's just sugar that, and it was brown sugar that people used to use then, not the white sugar.
True.
And so we were not as sick as what what we're having right now.
This kingdom come from a gum similar like that.
Yeah,
You know?
well, we know
And
they add all the
flavoring
other
and,
things to it
you
and
know
put
what I
in
mean?
bad things in there, because what they put in there now sometimes they say, oh, it's sugar free, and you put things like Splendor and all those things inside, which make people sick and create this thing called attention deficit order. You have people,
ADHD.
you have people who suffers from all kind of other things because they're eating Splendor. You have people who become psychotic. I've read a story. This man who was taking Splendor as an artificial sweetener because he didn't want to eat sugar, and then he started to have all kind of different problems, hallucinations, and when he went to the doctor, is later on they realized it was happening because of the Splendor, the chemical that they had there. Created this psychosis where the guy was hallucinating and seeing things. We don't know what we're consuming. The words are too big for us to even read. We don't understand the words, and they put them inside there. No, I'm not going to say that one. But to put those things in there, you're not reading labels. Those dyes and colors that they're putting in, most of the time, 95% of the time, our children are allergic to it. And that's why you have so many children walk around with all kind of different allergies and epilepsy, and they're very autistic.
So imagine you've been consuming them, and then you from such a young age, and then your youth come and you get a youth, and them still consuming them. So what's gonna happen?
We want to have a world later on.
You know what I mean? They know how to get all these type of disease at a young ages because we're eating the bloodstream. Yeah, so we have to understand. That's why we were speaking. What is the blood, and what is the chemical nutrients? When we hear them talk about these things, just to give the people understanding, so they could understand what is food. You understand, and what so. What we mean by food is what we are consuming and what we're going to be benefiting. You understand? And
Not the junk that we eat. Not that junk. That is not food.
Those are fillers.
Those are fillers. And children are eating them because they're hungry. And hunger for them is that your stomach is empty. Not that your body is. They've been deprived of nutrients, and you know that. Children are always suffering from headaches. I mean, it saddens me when I look and see you walk down the road and
Times is very good for the headaches and them type of stuff.
But they don't consume
You know what I mean?
time for them is expensive. Parents don't do that anymore. We don't cook with seasoning. We don't use the onion and the garlic and the seasoned pepper and stuff. We don't do that anymore. We go to the supermarket and we buy those things that are filled with MSG, those food enhancers. We buy those things, and that is what we're feeding our children. It is sad.
Because they're addictives, you know. They're very addictive.
They're addictive. That's what it's for. So that you can continue to buy. It is a drug.
White sugar is a drug.
But how do we know about that?
They won't tell you that.
They would never say that to us. And when you make statements, people get vexed with you because people benefit from people's detriment. Yeah, because what people are selling now, it's junk food. And it is, like you said, it is junk food. And when you make statements like that, people get upset with you because, people have a right to buy it because that's what they want. But we want to tell people that at the end of the day, I mean, the fruits are free. So when we talk about cost of living is high because we are buying things that we are not supposed to buy.
I think really and truly, the discussion is supposed to be then now, supposed to be, if they're providing a service, bring a service, we're going to help everybody, not make us weaker. You understand?
Wow.
In certain places, they're now trying to incorporate natural stuff, like all them kids' sweets and them type of stuff. They're trying to find
But they're
avenues.
not natural. I was looking
know.
at a documentary and we see people play with where you are at your positioning. What they do, people are now trying to become a little more health conscious. So everybody looking for organic stuff. So not because it's written on a box or bag that says organic, mean that it's organic. And I like to read. My children will tell you, I read every ingredient in there. If a word I don't understand, I go and I research it because they have big words. You have they say that you hear now don't take the MSG, they change it now to yeast extract. So you see these things on top of these on the labels and you don't understand it. Magnesium stearate. You see magnesium in front, you think you're taking the mineral magnesium. You don't understand you're taking the poison in magnesium stearate. And they're in all of those pharmaceutical drugs. All of the tablets that you're taking, the metformins that you take, or those that you use for blood pressure, it has magnesium stearate, and it's very carcinogenic.
Yep.
We don't know these things because the ordinary man does not read. And again, you're selling these things retail, which I think should not happen because you're supposed to be able to read what is inside of there.
True.
And people are retailing this stuff so you don't have an idea of what you're consuming. And it's wrong.
And sometimes they themselves don't really over us, but that's because we say we ain't really try to over us. You know what I mean? So we just take it as face value.
Yeah.
Even what I'm saying, you're supposed to check it out and see what it's all about.
But you don't know because when you go to the doctor, a lot of people are sick. And when people call me and ask me, I can't tell because I'm not a doctor.
Definitely.
And I'm so afraid we're running out of time. Oh, my mother's. We have a problem though. Our clock is not working, and so therefore I have to depend heavily on Trent. Trent, I really appreciate the fact that you would have cut me off in the middle of a sentence, but it's just for me to know that the time is up.
Yeah.
We definitely have to run. And actually, and that is one of the reasons why I like having you here because we have to inform the people. We have to let people who are diabetic know that it is not over. This is not a death sentence. Help is there. We have the plants that you can use. We have the foods that you can start eating. We can reset our bodies by doing the right thing.
Yep.
But we have to be able to change the way we're living, having a better understanding that we need food for nutrition and not food as fillers.
Definitely.
We have to be able to differentiate that. It's a pleasure having you here, and I'm going to have you back. If I have to bring you back every day so that people can have an understanding of where we are supposed to be, then definitely that is what it's going to be.
No problem, Sanjay. I don't know how it goes. It was nice being here and to share some knowledge to the public. What I know, I'm not a doctor, but I'm just trying to elevate our people so they could become more conscious of themselves, basically. You know what I'm saying? And
if only I must leave with you for the circulatory system, we talk about the herbs that you can use, that you have at your hand's reach. They're hot. It has ginger, you have
cinnamon, neem,
cayenne pepper, garlic is A1.
Is good.
It helps with circulation. So
sweet marjoram, all these is good herbs.
Those are good herbs that you can use to help with the circulatory system. It helps to prevent those heart attacks because your heart is really you get tired of not having the food that it needs, so it just attack you. So you have to now stop your heart from attacking you by giving it the food that it needs. Well, it's Friday. We have come to the end of another session of Your Views. It's a pity that it had to be rushed, but it's life. Your Views, again, is a program that will be aired next Friday. For those of you who are in tune, stay tuned. Again, tune in again next Friday. We would see if we can continue discussion or have somebody else in. I have somebody else who's slated for next Friday, but, it depends on the situation, and we can do that. So, remember, COVID is a reality. You have to adhere to protocols, wear your mask, sanitize, social distance. This is a must. It has helped us thus far. Let us continue to do so. Everybody wants to party, but party comes with a price. While partying, party sensibly. Make sure that you adhere to all protocols, and the life that you save can very well be your own. My name is Sanjay Kwiliata. It was always a pleasure being here with you. I ask you to stay tuned to WINNFM 98.9. Voices is up next.
It's like, me no know about you, but me love think it's bad.